I know nobody else has ever done this, but somehow or another, I didn't get all the water drained out of my black water, gray water tanks. Actually, the tanks were empty. There was just a little bit of water in the discharge just outside of the knife valve where the hose hooks on, and it froze and cracked that ABS pipe. Now you can cut that off, and there's other ways to repair this, but I'm going to show you a quick, easy way to repair cracks in ABS. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, first thing I want to say, we're going to make some liquid ABS. I'll show you how to do that. Hey, Future Dave here. If anybody wants to know exactly how to make this little concoction, just drop a note in the comments and I'll make a video on this in the future. I recommend you use some kind of gloves, because if you get that on your hands, I know we're going to use acetone to melt the ABS. Women put acetone on their fingernails to take the polish off, so I'm not overly worried about that, but long exposure is probably not good for you. If you get the liquid ABS on yourself, it's very difficult to get off. So put on something that if it gets dirty, it's not going to be a big deal, because
this stuff is nasty.
So I'll show you what the liquid ABS is going to look like. Now, if you want to know if something is ABS, this is just pure acetone, and it doesn't react with everything, but it does react with ABS. If it turns the Q-tip black, it's ABS, and if I didn't have these gloves on, I could actually leave a fingerprint. Well, you can kind of see it through the glove. So we know this is ABS. You can chop this up. Personally, I had some ABS from a 3D printer, the 1.75 millimeter line, and I just chopped a bunch of that up. The more surface area the ABS has, the quicker it's going to melt. Now, I've got mine at about the consistency of peanut butter, so it doesn't flow, and that way it'll stay where I put it a little bit better. And I stirred some of that with this stick last night, and it is completely set up. As soon as the acetone leaves the ABS, it's back in a solid state. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put this over the crack that's in the ABS sewer line. The acetone that's in here will soften on both sides of that crack, and once the acetone's gone, this will be just as hard as it was, just as hard as that is right now. So there we go. I don't know how well this picks this up, but you can see it's just a putty-like consistency. Now I'm going to go prep the surface a little bit, show you where the crack is, and we'll get started. Okay, this is the fitting in question. You see I tried to put a temporary patch on it. That's coming out of the black water tank, and it comes down to the knife valve right here. I tried putting some duct tape on it because we were on a trip when I realized that this thing was leaking. It wasn't bad, it's just a drip. But let's get the tape off of there, and I'll show you what I'm going to do for prep. I don't know how well you can see this, but right here is the crack. And it's not bad. It's just enough that, you know, it's a drip every so many minutes or so. But it is a crack. So that's what we're going to patch up. As far as prep work goes, all I'm going to do is take some 100 grit sandpaper and just rough up the surface of this. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, doesn't have to be elaborate, but those little scratches give it a little more surface area for the acetone to bite into or melt into, however you like to classify it. I noticed the crack is actually a little easier to see after I sanded it. Not a major crack, but just enough to see. So really all I'm going to do is grab some of this on this little stick, literally, and just wipe it over this crack. Just be sure that it's all covered. And a little bit goes a long way with this stuff. So it'll soften the ABS pipe that's up there, and then as that evaporates, it will be just as hard as the ABS pipe itself. And this, if you put a little extra on there, it's not going to hurt anything. This isn't going to be visible unless you're on a creeper with a camera underneath the RV. So I'm going to finish this up. You see, it's really as simple as what I said it was. I'm going to finish smearing this around, and we'll take a look at it in better light in the morning. All right, it's the next morning, and I'll show you I left some of this on this little stick, and it is completely set up. It's cured solid. Now, if you were doing body work on something, this will work on any ABS. This just happens to be on an old piece of pipe, so it doesn't matter. But just to show you, if you were doing this on another project, you can take a file to this stuff, you can contour it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just showing you that it is a possibility. I don't know how well you hear me while I'm doing this. That's pretty loud. You can contour this stuff, you can sand it, you can paint it, anything that you can do with ABS, anything that you can do with body filler. If you use this on ABS, you have to clean out your file pretty regular. But you can see it's changing all these contours. Not going to do it on the sewer pipe, but it is a possibility. But that's a very permanent, solid repair. So this really was a quick and easy repair. The longest part of the project actually is melting the ABS. And I just did that overnight. If you know you're going to do it a day or two in advance, and it'll be done by the time you get ready for it. The other part was probably trying to actually get everything on the camera. Other than that, this was a simple project, and it's going to be permanent because the ABS actually melts into the pipe, becomes one piece. Contour it as much or as little as you want. Any other ABS projects are going to work the same way, and I will do, if anybody wants it, I will do a follow-up video and actually show you how to melt it. It's really as simple as it sounds, but sometimes it sounds like it's too easy to believe. If you want a video on that, let me know and I'll get to it. I appreciate everybody watching. I'll throw a couple other videos up over here. You can see what else is on my channel. I'll either catch you in one of those or I'll catch you down the road.